Coming up this week on the Course of Life podcast, a loaded episode where we get to the chef winning, the content creators dominating the game, peeing turtles, the work-play balance, a fun trip for myself, plus the CEO of a golf headcover company with a fascinating story involving Tiger Woods changing her life. All coming your way on a loaded Course of Life podcast that starts now.
Hello, interwebs, and welcome to Course of Life. I'm Michael, he's Alex. And Alex, before we get into everything, I think it's important that we start off with a breaking announcement.
Yeah, this came out of left field.
This is something
people are going to be very confused by this one.
This just fell into my lap today, and I think this is going to be my last Course of Life podcast with you.
And there's a lot of reasons for this. You'll get to the main one, but when you told me this, I was just like, wow, okay, that's, we write a lot of headlines in the world of golf, but this one we really can't write.
So I literally just got off the phone with Greg Norman, who I have to say is just a phenomenal human being.
Great guy. One of the best. Yeah.
One of the best in the industry. And, he still is playing a large role in LIV Golf. And he's offered me a stupid amount of money to take my podcast talent to their circuit. And
April Fools, everybody. We got you. I know you were so fooled out there. You really thought that Greg Norman dropped the bag off at the bakery front door, and Mike just took his hands out of the mixer and just ran as fast as he could to the nearest LIV Golf event. That sounds like a realistic headline, right?
I mean, I'll be in Miami in a couple days here, so well, I don't know why you think this is fake, Alex. It's real.
Yeah, it's all too real, right? We'll get to the LIV guys in a minute, but first we got to get to the chef on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, Memorial Park Golf Course, that public course for the Texas Children's Houston Open, and Min Woo Lee finally seals the deal, holding off the likes of Scottie Scheffler and Rory McIlroy to claim his first PGA Tour victory.
Huge for the chef, huge for the internet, huge for Instagram, TikTok, and people who are on social media that like the game. Min Woo Lee is obviously one of the best personalities in the game. He was featured in the Netflix Full Swing Season 3 most recently. Just a real likable guy. He'd done everything but win on the PGA Tour. He'd won on the DP World Tour. He'd won the Australian PGA Championship. So it was leading up to this moment for a while. He had trouble closing it, like we saw at the Players a couple weeks ago. He finally knocks the door down and gets an impressive win in Houston.
Yep. Strong finish on 18 there, where he hit it over the green and then put it within 8 inches for his par putt for the win.
Huge.
Just holding on there, holding off also a very strong surge from Scottie Scheffler, who went 5 under on the back 9.
Yep. Who
also couldn't get it done on 18 with a birdie. He came up short of the green, which was surprising.
It was.
And just there were some runs there on Sunday. Rory McIlroy had his typical Sunday run, but just wasn't
let's shout
enough.
out Gary Woodland. I know you love that story, coming about a year off of brain surgery. Gary Woodland with his best finish on the PGA Tour since that. So really great to see him hitting form again. That was awesome too.
Wyndham Clark had a nice finish as well. And the Finnish man, who I've never heard of before, Sami Välimäki with a 62.
Yes.
No PGA Tour victories. He's got a few international wins. Do we need to look out for this guy? I mean, is he making a run at the Masters?
I feel like there's an international player that pops up like once every month or two that makes a run like this and shows a fresh face on the PGA Tour, and it just shows you how worldwide the game is. So yeah, Sami Välimäki, Adam to the list of just the random names that show you how deep the PGA Tour is. Another international name for you, who delivered the clip of the week, which we got to get to. Taylor Pendrith, Canadian PGA Tour winner. His caddy, Michael, had an issue where there was a turtle slightly behind Taylor's ball. So, caddy's got to step in here. So he's got to do something about this. It's a distraction. He does. So he picked the turtle up, and lo and behold, that turtle just started peeing everywhere. I didn't realize this, Michael. Did you know that turtles pee amidst kind of like a nervous reaction when they're picked up like that?
I mean, I pee when I'm nervous.
Yeah. So
So
I guess the turtle
surprising.
channeled a little bit of you right there and decided to just let it fly. Nonetheless, a funny viral clip of the caddy picking up the turtle and it just whizzing all over the place in every direction. Apparently, it's some sort of water conservation / nervous energy reaction that turtles have. But shout out to the caddy for doing the tough job moving the turtle out of the way for the player.
Like I just said at the top there, I'm going to be in Miami next week as I start my LIV Golf career, making podcasts for them. And I'm going to be starting at the Duels, Miami.
That's right. You were one of those creators that were invited. That makes sense now.
I was. I'm actually taking the place of Fat Perez. So
yeah. The birdie he made at 17 at Sawgrass wasn't enough of a highlight. No. You could deliver something way better than that, I'm sure.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is LIV Golf's answer to the Creator Classic, and almost all the same creators are going to be playing in LIV's version. The difference here is that the creators are getting teed up with a LIV golfer. So you got Sergio and George Bryan, Bubba Watson and Luke Kwan, Joaquin Niemann and Rick Shields, Phil Mickelson and Grant Horvath, Dustin Johnson and Wesley Bryan, and Cam Smith with Fat Perez. My question, though, is, Alex, other than that they're stealing all the guys that were in the Creator Classic at TPC Sawgrass just a few weeks ago, is a lot of men. And the Creator Classic had some women mixed into this.
Yeah, Gabby Golf Girl hit as a 17-year-old girl who hit an unbelievable shot at 17.
Yep.
Tisha Allens was on the podcast a few years ago and was on the Creator Classic. That was really cool to see as well. It's Sawgrass,
but the Duels Miami is going to lean into the men who just like money.
Golf bros,
Golf bros. And that's exactly what this is. This is the golf bros. And what was surprising is how much power it seems these creator golf bros have in the space now.
What an interesting headline that was, because essentially, obviously, what happened here. The LIV executives were sitting around watching the Creator Classic and they saw the numbers come through and they're like, we got to do the same thing right now. Yep. So they picked up the phone and made the phone calls. Obviously, the creators are creators. They're just free agents. They're down to do whatever. Yeah. Whoever's coming their way, sure. Yes is the answer for them to create. But the PGA Tour got all mad, kind of like a protective girlfriend, wanting their creators to exclusively create with them. But then they quickly backed off when the creators thwarted that. So basically just a big moment for golf content, showing that these creators definitely do hold a lot of power in the future of the game and where the audience goes as well, too.
Yeah, it certainly does, because these creators have been drawing attention and eyeballs, and that's what's going to help bring fresh, young faces to the game. Because, look, it's not Rory McIlroy when he's taking kids' phones away from them.
And telling us he doesn't watch YouTube Golf when he's on YouTube Golf. Yep.
Exactly. So we'll see how this plays out. The other interesting thing I thought came out of LIV is that they're got this new docu-series that sounds a whole lot like Full Swing that they're releasing.
They're going for the Netflix angle, are they?
Yeah, they are.
That makes sense.
Live to Win, which the trailer is all about them saying
Live to win.
Yeah. The trailer is all about them saying, of course we care about golf. Of course we want to win. And it's like, okay, guys, you just like the money more. But
Brooks Koepka is just clamoring to get back to the PGA Tour. Meanwhile,
are there betting odds on this yet that we can put money on Brooks jumping back to PGA Tour?
Soon, man, soon. He's counting down the days on that contract, I bet.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. The other big news out of the PGA Tour world was Jim Nantz is retiring.
Oh, no.
Potentially in 11 years.
Oh.
He came out and said that he was eyeing the Masters in 2036 as potentially his last time on the mic. But then he said, but you never know what'll happen. I might stick around longer than that.
Thanks to the advance notice, Jim Nantz. You had me nervous in my seat there, thinking you were gone after April's Masters.
The hour-long retrospective every year.
You just start gathering the footage now, and then we can just start building it that way. When the time comes. Yeah, a funny notice. Thank you for the 11 years notice, Jim Nantz. That shows you how tied he is to Augusta and how much he loves and savors and treasures that week, which is right around the corner, just a week away. So Jim Nantz, you can tell he's already thinking about Augusta because he's already thinking about how many more of these weeks do I have in my lifetime. So Jim Nantz with the biggest early notice retirement I've heard in a long time in golf.
Yep. The LPGA was back in the States. They were in Chandler, Arizona for the Ford Championship presented by Wild Horse Pass. And usually when Lilia Vu is at the top of the leaderboard or heads to a playoff, you expect her to win.
She's a closer. You're right.
But she didn't.
No. Yeah, Hyo Joo Kim getting it done, beating Lilia Vu in the playoff right as the sun set over the mountains. It was a nice little showcase there. Yeah, she had birdie to win, and that was her moment at 18. Did not close, made the par save, lost in the playoff. Lilia Vu definitely itching for a W now after that, and I'm especially after this. You know how I feel about the close call loss, like right before the major. She is now going right to the top of my list for the Chevron Championship in Houston in a few weeks, the first major of the year.
Yeah, it's hard to hold someone off, though, when they shoot a 64 on Sunday and they just kind of have all that momentum going in like Kim did. But yeah, Lilia Vu eyeing the Chevron in the Woodlands coming up in a couple weeks. Nelly Korda has been very quiet in this part of the season. This is when she was rattling off all those wins.
Yep, defending champion in Houston in a few weeks, so we'll see if she hits that form. But the best player is definitely looking to start catching fire right now. LPGA Major Championships getting going here in a couple weeks.
Coming up this next weekend is the tune-up for the Masters. It's the Valero Texas Open. Our boy, Dylan Wu, will not be in Texas. He'll be in my backyard here in Savannah for a Corn Ferry event.
Yeah, that's the life of the tour player, So do you take a look at the field and you see, Dylan Wu's the fifth alternate. So you know how this works with the alternates, Somebody backs out, someone's hurt, someone's flight gets canceled. Maybe a few of those alternates get in. How many get in each week? It changes. Sometimes it's 0, sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 5. But alas, Dylan Wu going to go ahead and pick the Corn Ferry event there in Savannah to earn some points there over at the landings. So hopefully he does well, and that trip to Georgia's worth it instead of going to San Antonio. A lot of San Antonio focus with the Valero and the Final Four, which we'll talk about in a little bit as well.
Yeah. Do we think there'll be more upsets at the Valero than there has been in the Final Four?
Probably, yeah. It's been pretty chalk. Golly, I mean, take a look at the top of the field. If you're going that route, if you're betting golf the way the college basketball unfolded, look at the top of the field this week before a major. These guys don't typically love to win the week before major. We love talking about that jinx where it's not ideal to win the week before the Masters. But TPC San Antonio, all eyes on that this week.
If you had to choose between winning the week before the Masters or winning the par 3 contest on Wednesday, which one would you rather win thinking you had a chance to win the Masters?
Thinking I had a chance to win the Masters?
Yeah.
That's great. They're two separately unique jinxes that we talk about a lot. I'm going to go with the par 3 just because it's like less tied to the Masters. And I feel like the idea of winning the 72-hole event 2 weeks in a row is the hard thing. The par 3 is just a 9-hole hit and giggle, and it's just a funny coincidence that the guy who's won that hasn't won the tournament yet. I feel like there's more of a correlated coincidence associated with winning 2 72-hole events in a row. So there's my scientific answer for saying I'd rather do the double at Augusta than win this week.
There you go. Yeah. So let's talk about what's going on outside of golf. Alex, I'm now on a 4-day work week. So I do 4
Love that.
about 10-hour days. They're not quite 10-hour days, but 4 days. That means I have 3-day vacations every week. I don't know what to do with myself.
Well, guess what? It's time for you to work on that golf game, my friend.
See, the assumption there is that I have the money to work on my golf game.
60 to 90 minutes range. Let me get 1 to 2 range sessions a month out of you. Now that you've got the extra day of the week, I'm not asking for the moon. I'm just trying to hit a star on the way. Maybe one or 2 range sessions a month.
There's a range nearby that now has Top Tracer.
Okay, cool.
But it's like $45 for an hour.
I know. Yeah. See, that's the issue with those type of facilities is when you're just looking to do the old fashioned ball beating for, $8, $10, $12.
Yeah.
You don't always have that option. So you got to find one of those places where you can just do it on a dime and invest a little time now that you got the extra day. But then also, and then this is the same thing I tell my wife, friends, and everyone in my life is you now have a little bit more time to explore the area you live in. Maybe this is time for you to kind of get a little bit out of the box. Maybe take some drives out of town, find some neighboring towns, do a little bit more exploration on a weekday that you wouldn't think to do on a weekend day where you're relaxing and tired from work. That's always the thing I like to suggest to my friends is explore and find some new stuff.
Okay. Yeah. We'll report back in a few weeks and see what I'm doing.
Which is exactly what I did. That's my segue. I went to a town that I knew about, but I hadn't really seen a lot. And I took the train there. There's little known fact is there's a commuter train in Austin, Texas. It's not very versatile. It's got one route. It takes you to downtown for South by Southwest and important downtown functions. But I decided to go the other way, up to a suburb called Leander, Texas. I highlighted a 19th hole destination called the Night Owl, but you will have loved Leander because it's a nice throwback Texas town. Nice and quiet, one-story buildings, flowers blowing across City Hall. Very quiet, not a gazillion people at the bars and restaurants we went to. So I appreciated the silence and the peace and quiet of getting out to Leander, Texas for a little exploration outside of Austin.
Let's get tuned in, share what we're tuning into outside of the world of sports as well. I don't think I've shared an update to my board game challenge that my wife and I have been doing.
That's right. So refresh. This is a year long, or how long is this challenge going on?
We're in year two.
Challenge. Yeah. Okay.
Year 2 of this 2-year long board game challenge where we need to play every game we own 3 times.
That's the 3 times is the one that kills me. That's the part that kills me.
The kicker in there is obviously that if we have expansions to these games, which we do for many of them, those expansions are separate plays. So we need to play like once with the base game, then once with the expansion. And in some of these games, we have multiple expansions for. So then we need to play it again 3 times with another expansion. So some of these games we've had to play 9, 12 times.
You love punishing yourself, basically, is what's going on here. I love this. This is great.
Yeah, we're just self-masochists. And we're at 69% completion right now.
Okay.
Which is great because we need to be at my goal is to be at 80% or higher by June.
All right.
So we are on pace to do that because we do have, while I won't be going back to Gen Con this year like I did last year, there's going to be more games being purchased at Gen Con. So that number and then that means we need to play those 3 times.
So kind of in your head, you kind of like get another percentage or 2 ahead of your quota, knowing the inventory you're going to pick up as the year progresses.
Exactly. So we're at a good pace right now. We're doing a great job. The nice thing about playing these games 3 times, actually, and the reason why you do it 3 times is that if there's a game you haven't played in a long time, that first playthrough is not a good indication of whether you actually like this game or not, because you have to relearn the rules. So by the 3rd time through, you're like, I like this game, we should keep it. Or with a lot of times we're playing these games 3 times, we're like, let's get rid of it. We're not going to play this game anymore. So it lets us kind of go through our supply, play everything we own, see whether we really want it or not still in our collection. We're able to get rid of it. Now, the problem is you get rid of it at a board game store because it'll give you store credit and you go buy a new game.
The cycle continues.
Yeah.
Love that. Great update on the board game challenge. My challenge recently is one that everyone faces out there. It's the cleanliness of the inbox. It's hard. It's hard out there these days. There are things coming at you left and right from every direction. And every once in a while, I get on this war path of unsubscribing to the spam emails. I usually just click through and delete them just out of sheer, boredom and laziness. But right now I am in an unsubscribe mode to anything junk or spam. And I'll tell you, boy, it's eye-opening. There is a lot of crap that's coming through on a daily basis.
Yeah, there is. I've been doing the same thing recently, kind of going through and seeing if even the unsubscribe feature within like the mail app can do it for me, which I don't feel like it is. I don't feel like it's doing a great job.
The manual effort really goes a long way indeed. And then just quick grooming cleanliness check with you. How many unread emails do you currently have in your inbox this moment? I've got 7 in one and about 2 or 3 in the other.
So this moment, and I haven't checked them in a while. In my Google email app, I have 10.
Not bad. Nice.
And I don't know what's in there. I haven't looked really at all this morning. And in my mail app, which includes my AOL, my iCloud, and my Yahoo email, it looks like I only have 1 right now.
Now,
but I have checked that already.
The $1 million question, and everyone's got one out there. Do you have a friend with the 17,848 unread emails and the 3,728 unread text messages?
I don't have a friend. I have a wife who has that.
Oh, wow.
And the other question you should ask is how many alerts are there on her phone app for unread, unlistened to voicemails and missed calls that she hasn't looked at? And yeah, the text messages, the emails. It's concerned. I try to look away. You try,
yeah. Shout out to her for keeping a stable brain and balancing all that too, and being sane. Wow, that's amazing. Gosh,
I mean, you're living a lot of assumptions on her.
That's right. Yeah, I am. That's right.
But that's okay. I love her. She's great. Also, we should say everyone else should be tuning in to our YouTube channel. Of course, Alex, your first part of your time at Horseshoe Bay, visiting the new Callaway Academy, is up there. Part 2 will be coming out over the next week as well.
Yep.
And you got some golfing going on in part 2 that's going to be coming out.
Yeah, insane little mini time lapse of the sunrise at Slick Rock. The $1 million hole with the waterfall, which you can see on Instagram, is going to be YouTube showcased this week. So excited for part 2 of the Horseshoe Bay trip.
All right, let's get to the turn and this week's guest. Alex, we've seen Tiger Woods' iconic Tiger Headcover bag for, was it like 30 years now or something?
Yeah, it is. And it's 30.
Do you think his Headcover has really made the Headcover game explode?
Oh, I mean, that's the one. It's like, that's the one. I mean, sure, there's others. Rory's Lions, kind of notable. Nowadays players use college mascots, but that Tiger, that was the one that put really Headcovers on the map in the modern era.
Yeah. And this week's guest is someone who is in the Headcover industry and makes them for a living.
That's right. The very CEO of Daphne's Headcovers talking to Jane Spicer here on The Course of Life. Next up on the tee, she's the CEO of the original golf headcover brand, Daphne's Headcovers. It's Jane Spicer joining us on The Course of Life. Jane, how are you doing today?
I'm very well. Thank you. Thank you for having me on your show.
Yeah, it's great having you. We actually connected a couple months ago on the floor. I was walking by the PGA show, feverishly seeing everything there was there. And your booth stopped me dead in your tracks because of an alligator head cover that I have had on my golf bag for the better part of a decade. I'm sure, seeing interactions like you and I had at the PGA show, that must not get old for you, right?
Oh, no, that's what brings me the most joy. When people see one of our head covers and their face lights up and they tell me a story about it, how long they've had it or why they have it. It makes my job so much fun.
I know. It's just such a cool way to introduce people to the game in a fun way, too. So essentially what Daphne's does is create unique golf head covers. The people will know them as those sleeves that go around some of the golf clubs you see in people's bags. And the story of Daphne started back in 1978 when you crafted the first head cover. So Jane, tell me a little bit about what Daphne's business looked like at the very beginning in 1978 and what inspired the design of golf head covers.
Oh, well, thank you for asking. When I was 10, I asked my mom, Daphne, our company's namesake, for a sailboat. And she said, think of a business and earn it yourself. And so I started, with her help, I learned how to make stuffed toys, and I would design, sew them, and make enough to fill a garbage bag. And then I would walk up and down the street and I would sell them. And then
wow. So you were just like a little neighborhood toy store, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I did that until I earned the sailboat. I bought a little 11-foot sloop that was $600 then. It'd be about $4,000 now as a 10-year-old. And I realized I loved making my own money. So the toys morphed into puppets. And then my mom would drop me off at arts and crafts shows. I didn't drive. I was too young. And at one of them, somebody suggested that we make golf club covers. And by then I was almost 16, and my mom bribed me. And she said, if you make enough of these golf club covers, I'll buy you a car.
Ooh.
So I did a little research. I went to the Goodwill and bought a patent leather hat case because I thought, well, golf is fancy. I should have a nice sample case. And I knew that a birdie, eagle, and a bogey were a thing in golf. And that a bogey was bad. I didn't golf, so I made.
I was wondering if you'd
eagle.
ever swung a club, but before you designed the first head cover.
No, I hadn't. And then I morphed some of my puppets into head covers, and I went to the Arizona Biltmore in Phoenix, Arizona, talked my way into the director of golf's shop, into his office, and sold to him. And he was incredibly kind because I didn't have an appointment or a business card. And you typically don't barge in and throw head covers all over the director of golf's office.
Yeah.
And he was very, very nice. And I sold to him. And that's how we started. So I was designing, cutting, sewing, selling, collecting, all with my mom's guidance. And that Daphne's Headcovers was the two of us.
Fascinating. And that's a fascinating origin story and a lesson for people out there who may have an idea or a thought. Sometimes the first interaction or the first sale in your case, you might not be ready for it and it might just happen. So you just have to grab those moments and you kind of took it and ran from there. So it sounds like was it always animals? Was that kind of always the basis of the designs for the head covers?
Yeah. I'm a huge animal lover. Daphne's, our factory now, is a dog-friendly office. It always has been. My house is filled with strays that I love. So yeah, it was animals for years, and we've morphed into other things now. Dragons and pirates and hot dogs and tacos and pizzas. But yeah, it just started with my love of all things natural, especially animals.
Fascinating. So that's very cool. So in terms of timeline, I want to ask you a timeline question. You'll know why I'm asking it. Let's say the mid 1990s, let's say specifically maybe 1995 or 6. I'm curious at that point in the business, how big was Daphne's, what was the variety of animals and kind of where were things at for the business at that moment?
In 1995, we were across the United States. So we were selling, all over. I'd moved from one house and then I just kind of bought bigger houses and ran the building in that and the business in that. And at this point I was in two buildings, a warehouse and still a house. The house was the front office. I had a little, very small global presence, was sold all over the United States, carried by a couple pros.
Okay.
I would say a small business moving along steadily. A little bit of growth each year.
Yep. Well put and well framed, because then shortly after that, everything changed for you. A kid from Stanford University named Eldrick Woods turned pro. We found out his name was Tiger in 1996 and 97 when he burst on the scene. I'm curious, Jane, do you remember first seeing Tiger Woods? Did you ever see Tiger Woods play, or did you see any of him before he kind of came into your life via the Daphne's brand?
I didn't see him. I was working all the time. When you're starting a company, that's what you do. So, my friends would say I disappeared for years, and I did, just working. But I talked and heard golf all day long. So I would hear about him saying, hey, this is amazing. And he was practicing. He would practice at Big Canyon Country Club in Newport. Okay. And they were carrying, in California, they were carrying Daphne's. So they would call and tell us, hey, we've got this junior who's done this, or we've got this junior that's done that. So I was hearing bits and pieces of it, but I hadn't seen him play, and I wasn't, it wasn't a point of focus yet.
Very interesting. So at what point did you realize that Tiger Woods then had a Daphne's head cover on his bag? Was that a Tiger head cover that you designed for Newport, thinking he might like it, or was the Tiger already something you had made before?
The Tiger was something already that I had made before, and his mom, rest in peace, found it at Big Canyon Country Club in Newport and bought it for him because of his nickname. He loved it, so it's been on his bag the whole way along. But she purchased it, and then she would embroider, because she couldn't always go to all the tournaments, and the you're traveling all the time as an aspiring
Oh yeah, it's
golfer.
rigorous.
It is very rigorous. So she embroidered on the back in Thai, her native language, "Love from Mom," so that he knew that she was always with him, whether she could be there.
That's an important piece of context, definitely, which made that piece so special. And that was, synonymous with Tiger Woods. He wins the 1997 Masters in historic fashion, goes on to have the amazing, golf altering career that he has with your Tiger head cover alongside the entire way. And it even turned into some commercials as well. What were your thoughts when you saw the Tiger head cover actually take on a life of its own and become Frank the head cover in commercials with Tiger Woods?
That was so much fun. So Nike came to me and said they wanted to license, which is super cool. I mean, when does a giant like Nike come to a small business? And they said, hey, we want a license, and this is what we want to do, and this is what we're thinking about. And I had a couple thoughts that, by then my mom had suddenly passed away, and I put her signature. So every Daphne's head cover has her signature on the head cover as a tribute.
Yep, I look at it every time I play golf.
Yeah. And so I said, well, we've got to be careful with these commercials. They need to be wholesome. But all of us at Daphne's have a great sense of humor. I'm a sucker for a good pun, love to laugh. So it's like, funny is great. Are they going to be tasteful? And they were so wonderful because I got to see all the storyboards. I got to see everything ahead of time. And then I'm sending them head covers that they're going to re-engineer so that Frank could talk. The whole process was so much fun. And with the secretly marked envelopes would arrive with the drawings and the storyboards. The whole experience was a blast. Nike was a delight to work with. Whedon Kennedy, who produced them, nicest people on the planet. It was just so much fun.
Very cool experience. So Frank took off from there. Obviously, the Tiger everyone knows, and you highlighted the wide variety of head covers that you do now. I'm curious, what's the count? Do you have any idea what the current count as of the variety of head covers that you've made for the Daphne's brand in the years you've been in business?
That's an interesting question that you asked me that today, because yesterday I was talking to one of our intellectual property attorneys. I've got them all over the world, and I personally have thousands of copyrights over the years, because each year we design new ones, and then for our line, and then in addition, we're constantly doing customs. So, each year we go and we do some updates and we do some different things. And he said, Jane, do you realize, you're in the thousands now of copyrights for all your designs? Because they were doing something in their office. It's like, whose huge file is this? It's Jane Spicer's for Daphne's head covers.
Yeah, she makes every animal under the sun. Haven't you heard? Yeah.
Yeah. And still going.
Love that. I'm very curious. So the Frank head cover and Tiger itself, has there ever been any communication between Tiger and you guys? Have you ever gotten to connect with him regarding the head cover and the history it shared with him?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. We have, what I'll tell you is we have a very warm and friendly relationship. The Woods family have been extraordinarily kind and generous with their time and their thank you. When I see Tiger, this changed my company. And the first thing he says to me is thank you. And isn't that nice?
Wow.
It's so nice. And Ms. Woods and I had fabulous conversations, for 30 years on the phone, because when she needed head cover, she'd call me, and, I'd get updates on all things Tiger and what she was doing. And it has just been a very nice, familial, gentle, polite, respectful, warm relationship. I'm super grateful for it.
Very cool. One of the neat kind of needs to be told more stories in golf, that unique head cover that the world knows, designed by Jane Spicer here, who's with us on the Course of Life, CEO of Daphne's Headcovers. So now this is the asking for your favorite baby question right now. And I know you're going to have a hard time answering this, but is there a favorite head cover, maybe just right now or currently, one that you're really loving that you maybe just made, or one that you have a soft spot for, besides obviously Frank the Tiger?
Yeah, of course Frank is right there. And have you seen those things on Instagram where they show like somebody's heart x-ray and they've got a cat or a dog on there? I probably have the tiger on the x-ray. There's so many of them that I love. I was at an event last night for the Arizona Women's Golf Foundation, and we introduced some of our new designs. We've got a new possum that I love, and it's actually laying on its back, playing possum. So I love that. I'm in the desert, in the Sonoran Desert and North Scottsdale, Arizona. So I have a quail on my back. I feel them. I feed them. I love them. The golden retriever on my line. Both my golden retrievers came to work their whole life. They were always in the office, came to every meeting with me. So
that's great.
Yeah, that's made after one of my dogs. So they all have different special meanings or stories to me.
And the random question is, do you currently have a head cover or head covers on your golf bag right now? Do you know which ones are on there right now at the moment?
I do. I have a sloth on my driver to remind me to swing slow. I have now the golfers in my office say this is not a thing, but it's my thing. I have a great horned owl on my 3-wood, because if I was wise, I would hit that all the time because I hit that club so well.
Love that.
Got a hybrid covered by a hedgehog, and I have a quail on my 7-wood.
That's amazing. You even get a little golf lesson in there with the driver.
Absolutely.
Teaching you to swing slow and smooth as soon as you get to the tee box every time. I like that.
It's a reminder that sloth is smiling at me, going, "Slow down, calm down, Jane."
All right. So thousands of patents. This is a question I did want to ask. You've seemingly done everything, but is there maybe an animal or a strange animal or just something out there that maybe has been attempted or just cannot be done for one reason or another in the Daphne's portfolio?
Yeah, well, that's a great question, and one that wouldn't mean a lot to other people, but in the context of what we're talking about, Alex, I have a house full of strays, and one of my stray dogs was a yellow lab husky mix, and he was a wonderful, horrible dog. We got kicked out of 3 obedience classes before I could get one that would accept him. And I could never make him. I could never get that design right. And that would have been just for me and my family, but I could never get that one. I got my golden retrievers and my Springer Spaniels and all the others, but that one eluded me. And there's others. Sometimes I'll do iterations of one, and then I'll have an epiphany where I'll go, "Oh, I know how to fix the grizzly. I can make it better." So the design sometimes will morph over the years or over the time they're on the line as I or a member of my design team go, "Oh, I know what we can do to make it better." So they can constantly be changing as we improve them.
Nice. Constantly tweaking and adapting. That's the power of a great business, and you've been doing it for a long time. Very impressive to tell the story. And Jane, we love to end our conversations with our 19th hole question. So when you get into your favorite clubhouse after a round of golf and you sit down with your friends, what's your order at the 19th hole? What do you like to have for like a meal and a drink?
Oh, a meal and a drink. Well, it depends on the weather, but if it's sunny, I mean, I love a good tequila soda.
Good choice.
With double limes. And I don't eat red meat, so it'll be, I'm a huge fan of fish tacos or chicken tacos, street tacos, something like that. And then just recounting the round with my friends. I love that, slightly sunny, grassy feel, and we're in the desert, so maybe a little sweaty, sitting with friends, just laughing, and the repartee and the camaraderie that comes after after all of it.
You couldn't have said it any better.
Wonderful.
That's what it's all about, indeed. And I like the taco shout out as well too. I'm in Austin, Texas, so the next time you get over here to Austin, Texas, we'll be sure to do the taco and golf tour. Sound good?
Oh, let's do it. I'm in. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Jane, thank you so much for hopping on the Course of Life. I look forward to that trip when you make it to Austin, and I'll be seeing you at the next PGA show for sure. Best of luck with everything with Daphne's as well.
Thank you very much for having me. This is a wonderful way to start my day.
Course of Life podcast is brought to you by Zencastr. We've been using Zencastr here since almost the very beginning, as how Alex and I record this podcast from hundreds of miles away, and it provides us with great quality audio that works every time, and it's something that makes Course of Life what it is and has kept us being able to make consistent episodes every week. And now it's super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. You log in using your browser and start recording a high quality podcast right away. You record studio quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. You feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. And have you ever wondered what you actually sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. Head on over to zencastr.com/pricing and use our promo code Course of Life to get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same easy experiences we do for all of your podcasting and content needs. Again, that's zencastr.com/pricing and our promo code Course of Life. Zencastr, it's time to share your story. And we're back. Great chat there with Jane. Fascinating to hear about her friendship and connection with the Woods family throughout the decades.
Yes,
and looking through their website, Daphne's Headcovers.com, DAPHNES Headcovers.com.
It's insane.
They got ton of dogs on there. They've got a bobcat. So those of us that went to Quinnipiac could get a bobcat head cover.
Nice.
They got a bass fish. She's got a gopher. So you can be, you can do your brain blank on the movie.
Minnesota fans up there. The Minnesota Golden Gophers, maybe.
Yeah, that too. A lot of
Caddyshack
cool stuff
fans,
here.
Gophers.
Caddyshack. Thank you.
Nice.
A lot of really cool looking.
You heard her. She said
here.
There's like very few animals that are off limits. I mean, she's if it moves or walks or it exists or lives, she's going to try and make it into a head cover. So
she's got a unicorn with a rainbow mane. That's pretty cool, actually.
Yep. That's badass. Love that.
I am a little disappointed. We're going to have to let her know she does not have a miniature schnauzer head cover, so she's going to have to get one made for me.
Okay, cool. I'll send that to her to add it to the list. I love that. Again, it's Daphne's Headcovers, and that's a fascinating story, from the tiger to everything else that's created now, and now a brand for life. That it's just one of those brands, you see the head covers absolutely everywhere to finally connect the dots and talk to the woman behind it. It's very cool.
And if you like that conversation plus everything else we do here on this podcast, make sure you punch that subscribe button on the podcast app you're using right now. Yep. If enough people subscribe, maybe I won't go to LIV Golf.
That's a great idea. So What is it? What's your number? 100K, million, 10 million subscribers? What are you going into?
5,683,295,000,000.2.
Yeah. That's tough. I don't even think the Saudis have that many dollars.
You'd be surprised. I didn't say US dollars.
That's right.
All right, let's talk March Madness.
Yeah, in April, March Madness. Hello.
Yeah, that's how it usually works. With a very boring Final Four.
Well, yeah, if you just pick chalk. I mean, this is that bracket where I think I even said, I think I remember saying a couple weeks ago on the podcast, well, don't be boring and, just pick one. Like you have to pick upsets because there's always a mix of that. Nope. Not this year. Nope. All chalk. All 4 1 seeds in the final 4.
Yep. And there was only one that wasn't a 2 seed in the Elite 8 there in Texas Tech. So, was there drama in these games? A little bit. Not a lot.
Yeah, a little bit. Not a ton.
So, all right. So, Auburn, Florida, and Duke and Houston.
All my bracket money's on Auburn. I've been touting Auburn for a while. John Ibroom's the guy I've been shouting for 3 podcasts in a row here. He hurt his elbow in the Elite 8 win, but came back victoriously and did play a little bit the rest of the game. I'm pretty much all in on Auburn at this point. Everyone's going to be watching to see if Cooper Flagg and Duke can get it done, though.
Yeah. If you look at those, the only 2 teams here, Florida and Houston, are the only teams that have been close in games.
Correct.
Duke and Auburn have just rolled.
Correct.
So,
yeah. How about Houston, that Texas team winning in San Antonio? Also a fun narrative as well, too. Mm-hmm. They've been trying to get over the hump for years with a program that's really built and crescendoed nicely. So, great storylines. Again, like boring in that, like boring for upsets. But like if you just wanted the best friggin' matchups at the end, the men's bracket delivered that.
It's boring for upsets, but you got the selection committee is sitting back going like, yeah, we did it again, guys. Bang. We did it.
Another banger for the selection committee. Pop the champagne.
Good job, guys. Good for you. All right, let's talk football, because last week we talked about how my Giants had found their starting quarterback.
Mm-hmm. James Winston was going to solve all your problems for your franchise.
And the wheels came off real fast. And now the Giants starting quarterback is going to be Russell frickin' Wilson. And what did I say last week? I said that, you said that Russell Westbrook, when I slipped up, but Russell Westbrook is a better quarterback than Russell Wilson.
I did.
But I said the likes of Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers are not in the mindset to train a young new quarterback into a starting role. And it seems that the Giants didn't care, like they usually don't in general right now. And they just went ahead and said, nope, we're going to give Russell Wilson a boatload of cash and have him come in and then probably cut him after season, because let's be honest.
Yeah, that's the vibe I'm getting too, is that they are just going to throw veterans at this right now. And like, I think there still is the door open for them to draft a quarterback, but it's just kind of annoying if you're a Giants fan, because, you would have thought they would have done something to lead up to a draft pick, but these are all indications that they are not going that way at all.
That's the question here, is that the feeling was they were going to take Sanders in the third pick of the draft, and that was going to be kind of the new quarterback for the Giants and the franchise face. But now the question is, are they going to trade down and try to set up for next season to draft a quarterback? Because I also disagree with that, because you're in a great place to draft a quarterback right now.
Yep. And you and I disagree with Russell Wilson as well, too. I would still take Russell Westbrook, by the way, over Russell Wilson. I'm answering that again, just if you're wondering.
Yeah, so that's true.
I'm sorry about that move. Sorry for that. But we'll be diatribing that all season now.
We will indeed.
The one move we did make is the Patriots surprisingly reached our arm out and spent a little bit more money. We're setting records in free agency here. It's over $400 million the Patriots have spent this offseason, including Stephon Diggs. Michael, we got a prime wide receiver target for Drake May. Hopefully good things to come. There is the other half of the coin where he could head case and go crazy like he has at past franchises. But we're gonna play that lottery, because I'm just excited to have the talent in New England.
Look, obviously the Patriots are all in on Drake May as your quarterback, and they are surrounding him with the tools needed to win football games, unlike the Giants, who don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Well, 2 sides of the coin right there. We'll see what happens next season.
There you go. Major League Baseball is off to a strong start, and I thought it was interesting that last week you texted me and you said on Thursday,
I did.
Let the record show I am all in on the 1-0 2025 Boston Red Sox, bravely tied at the top of the AL East against all odds. And I just want to point out to you now, Alex, that your Red Sox are in the cellar at 1-3. They have not won a game since. A -2 run differential. Not Not great. Are you still all in on your Red Sox?
I am. I have to lean into it now. I have to double down. And here's the crappy part. Rafael Devers, too. Big move where he moved him to DH.
Yep.
You know, he's our guy, our franchise player. We paid him the bag. He got a little scruffy over leaving third base to hit. Michael, he is 0 for 16 to start the season. Not a great start for our best player either.
What's funny is that I also saw some bold predictions out of the Boston Globe where they were like, the Red Sox are going to win the East over the Yankees.
Sure.
Denver's is going to have like a all-star season and vie for the MVP.
Absolutely.
And looking real fine right now up there in Boston.
Let's check back at Memorial Day. Let's do that. How about that?
Okay. My Yankees, meanwhile, have unloaded 36 runs, have set a team record with 9 home runs in a game, 4 home runs in a single inning.
Wow.
And are sitting pretty at 3-0. I mean, look, this has nothing to do with these perfectly legal and allowed new baseball bats.
What are you talking about? What do you mean these new baseball bats? Well, what's the enlighten us? What's going on here? You guys got some new bats there?
They're brand new bats that were designed by now a member of the Miami Marlins front staff who is a literal genius with a degree from MIT.
Okay.
Who's working for the Yankees for a long time as a hitting coach and then an analyst.
Yeah.
And the Yankees are allowed to use these bats.
Yeah,
the
these are
MLB has
legal?
approved it. They have more wood lower down in the bat, so they look like more of a torpedo or a bowling ball.
They're a torpedo, all right.
And they are unleashing a mad amount of home runs with these bats. And I should point out, the majority of the team is not using these bats. Okay, so they're not all using this guy. They're all hitting great right now. But then again, they were just playing the Brew Crew. So
if they're not using it, why don't you share the recipe with everyone, huh?
Anyone could use these bats if they want to. If they're being used by the Yankees, they can be used by anybody. So there's nothing wrong with this. I don't have a single problem with what's going on right now.
Yep. Okay. All right. I'm watching you guys. I'm watching you. I'm not going to go there yet. I'm just going to keep it in my back pocket for right now.
It's perfectly legal until during the offseason, all the other owners decide to ban it, like they're banning the tush push. So,
and then I will posthumously come after you a year after the fact and say you were cheating this year. That's it. That's what.
Yeah. Well, you remember when the Patriots actually were cheating with deflating footballs and recording the opposing team on the sideline?
If there's one thing you know about Boston sports fans, we don't stand for cheaters. We don't.
Yeah, that's true.
Way below us.
You sit down and clap. All right. Let's hashtag always end with food.
Yep, time for the 19th hole. Let's wrap up this podcast real quick with some food chat from the past week. And I did something I hadn't done in years here in Texas. I got myself to a crawfish boil at my local bar. It's good to try some mud bugs. Got a pound of them. You basically just twist right at the middle. You kind of just dissect the bottom tail and get that shrimpy meat out. And then you just suck all the juices out of the head. There's not much to it, but it's a fun little Texas delicacy, and they're in season. So got the crawfish boil done this past week.
How very Cajun of you.
Yes, I am. Yeah, and I told you earlier off air, I'm writing a Cajun article about Sweet Doe Pine, Louisiana. I'm really leaning into the Cajun vibes these days.
Yep, it's coming. Let me know when you start speaking with a Cajun accent.
Well, not quite yet. Not quite yet.
Yeah. Okay, good. For me, this past weekend on Saturday night, we did a little celebratory evening out in Savannah, celebrating my wife and also one of her colleagues receiving officially being signed off on becoming full professors.
Love that. Applause. Snaps from everybody.
The last real promotion you can get as a professor. So this is it.
Well, we'll take it.
Top of her game right now.
Well, let's celebrate accordingly then, right?
Celebrated. We went to 1790 for dinner, and everyone else got filet mignon, which looked great. But I had to go with the braised short rib in a mirin and soy glaze.
That's bold to get something that not the rest of the table gets there. Nice move.
I sent you a picture of it, Alex. It is freaking massive on the plate. Easily 2 servings. In fact, I had the leftovers for lunch on Sunday. It was incredible. Super tender. Flavor was on point. Just amazing.
This is
would
one of
go
those
back
photos you send to a
just for
friend
this.
and you look at it and you're like, oh, you're too far zoomed in. And then you reply like, no, I'm not zoomed in. That's actually how much plate the meat is covering. So.
I mean, you can see it because next to it is the bone.
I love that.
And then next to it on the other side of the plate are the full length asparagus spears. So this is a massive hunk of meat. It's gargantuan.
Going up at Always End with Food. Be sure to check our story there on Instagram, and you can follow here as well too. And then you guys hit some other spots in town as well too, right?
Yeah, we went to Lulu's because we had to have dessert, and you've been there in your time when you came here as well.
Yeah, right.
I got the cappuccino walnut brownie, which I've actually never had before.
Lovely.
Very good, strong coffee flavor, really tasty. And then we finished the night at Myrtle and Rose, which is a rooftop bar in the new Plant Riverside district, overlooking the river and the rest of downtown.
Nice.
Really chill vibes up there. You got these nice big patio loungers that you can lay on. And I got a mocktail when I was up there. I
was wondering what you're going to drink up here. Yeah,
I got this lemon lime cherry soda, which sounded really good in the menu. You know, cherry soda, lemon lime soda, lime juice, but it had this like menthol finish to it.
Menthol, he says.
Yeah, which I'm guessing was there to help because menthol is supposed to help relax you and everything. So maybe it was there for that, but it was just finished like cough drops.
That was probably them. They're just trying to go a little too far with like the aromatherapy vibe in the drink or something like that.
If I had known that was in it at the beginning, I probably wouldn't have ordered it. I gotta be honest.
All right, drink's fine, guys. You can just leave the menthol out, please. Thank you.
Yeah, pretty much. So that was $11 down the drain, but you know.
Good times. That's Always End with Food to wrap up this week's Course of Life. Be sure to subscribe right now if you made it to the end of the podcast, and we'll see you next week.